Spider-Man No Way Home, a movie that apparently gets worse every time you watch it. But is that really true? Well, I guess it's up to me to make a Is It Really That Good video once again.
Sucker. Now you're good.
No Way Home picks up where the last one did, where Spider-Man's identity is revealed to the world. People start to swarm MJ, asking questions. That's when Peter drops down. And damn Tom Holland's... Huh? That was weird. Anyway, Tom Holland's suit... Okay. Anyway, his suit looks amazing. In any case, Peter grabs MJ and they start to swing through the city, with Peter's face plastered everywhere. They end up deciding to go to Peter's apartment, and unrelated because it doesn't really do anything for the plot, but Happy and May broke up. But when Happy hears a noise, he goes to investigate, and sees Peter and MJ. It's a fine scene, with Peter running around closing the blinds, and wanting to talk about Happy and May's relationship, until they see what's on the TV. We then see how Peter, his friends, and his family's lives are affected. And also there's some kid who messes up the integrated suit, which is really his brother. Not Peter's brother, but Tom Holland's brother. Okay, I'll just stop saying his name. That's when the government goes looking for Peter, and takes him in. Pretty much everything is blamed on Peter. Peter tries to defend himself, saying that Nick Fury was there, but apparently Nick Fury's been off-world, showing up in the Marvels, and also making out with a Skrull.
What the fuck?
The rest of them get interrogated. MJ, who's kind of annoying, and Aunt May don't break. However, the same cannot be said about Ned.
When MJ told you that Peter was Spider-Man...
Whoa.
What's up?
I knew way before MJ did. I was Spider-Man's guy in the chair.
Oh, I know about those. Dude, half my guys are guys in the chair.
Well, exactly. You would know. I literally helped him find the Vulture.
I didn't know that.
And I helped him hack a suit once and kind of helped him get to space.
So in Spider-Man's illegal vigilantism, you were his main accomplice.
I would like to have my words stricken from the record.
Anyway, they need a lawyer, and a really good one. So, they get Matt Murdock?
Told by Marvel, you know, like, make sure you go on the first weekend. It's going to be so exciting. The reaction to you, it's a big secret. Everyone's going to, like, freak out. I live in Connecticut, so I contacted a movie theater, complex.
Okay.
And Marvel helped me out and, like, got hold of the manager. Can you sneak me in the back so that I can be there on the opening weekend? So my wife came with me, and, like, she's filming my reaction. Nothing. Dead.
Oh,
Tumbleweeds.
no.
Honestly, I remember one guy went, "Oh, cool." And that was it. And then my wife's filming. I'm like, turn off the camera. Turn off the camera.
Well, I can tell you that my theater definitely blew up in applause. And I guess Matt Murdock really does have a thing for helping out vigilantes. Basically, Matt is able to help Peter, but not so much Happy. Then, for some reason, someone throws a brick through his house, and Matt catches it.
How did you just do that? I'm a really good lawyer.
Another night in here, I might never be able to answer that for you. Oh, sweetheart, what do you want? You want me to do? You want me to get you out? You want me to file an appeal? I'm not lying.
Hey, guard! He started smashing his face against the table.
Crazy asshole. Thank you, counselor.
Fuck you!
Oh, how much I hate you, show. So after that, Peter and May move in with Happy. This is around the same time that Peter and his friends apply for college. So Peter gets denied multiple times until he gets the last one for MIT. So he runs into a shop where he meets MJ and Ned. They are all denied because of their relationships with Spider-Man. But when Peter sees some decorations of some witches, he decides to go and visit Doctor Strange. He asks Doctor Strange if he could... Strange says he can't help Peter. He doesn't have the time stone anymore, but Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme, which Doctor Strange 2 wants you to remember, says something about forgetting. Strange then has an idea to make people forget Peter was ever Spider-Man, but Peter keeps altering the spell until Strange can't hold it any longer, and he changes the spell 6 times.
5 times.
Strange tries to be understanding with Peter until...
I'm so sorry about you and your friends not getting into college, but if they rejected you and you tried to convince them to reconsider, there's nothing else you can do.
When you say convince them, you mean like I could have called them?
Yeah.
I could do that.
You haven't called.
Well, I mean, I got their letter and I assumed that was...
I'm sorry. Are you telling me that you didn't even think to plead your case with them first before you asked me to brainwash the entire world?
Well, I mean, when you put it like that, then...
So after almost destroying the multiverse, then does Peter decide to ask the people at MIT to reconsider. And again, another suit I actually like from Tom. Moving on. So Peter ends up finding one of the MIT people and asks her to reconsider. That's when... Yes, it's Dr. Octopus, my favorite live-action Spider-Man villain, played by the amazing Alfred Molina. And the fight between Peter and Doc Ock is probably my favorite fight in the movie. Well, besides the finale at the end of the movie, but obviously. Anyway, Doc Ock gets the upper hand against Peter until he sees Peter without his mask, or helmet, because everything's nanotech these days. Speaking of nanotech, Doc Ock absorbs the nanotech into his tentacles. But Peter now has control of his arms, so he saves the lady, and she says that she will tell MIT to reconsider. But once she leaves is when we get another crowd-pleaser moment, when the Green Goblin throws a pumpkin bomb, exploding the bridge. But before anything can happen, Strange sends Peter and Doc Ock to his lair. Strange has already caught another one of the interdimensional beings, the Lizard. Strange says that Peter has messed up the multiverse, bringing villains from other universes into our own. And he shows us when he talks to Doc Ock.
Do you know a Peter Parker who's Spider-Man?
Yes.
Is that him?
No.
So Strange tells Peter to fix it, but Peter says he needs help, so he brings his friends. Oh, wow. Strange tells him to fix this, but this is one of the many reasons I don't like MJ.
Detected 0 multiversal trespassers, so get on your phones, scour the internet, and Scooby-Doo this shit.
You're telling us what to do, even though it was your spell that got screwed up, meaning that all this is kind of your mess. You know, I know a couple of magic words myself, starting with the word please.
Shut up, bitch!
Yeah, just don't mind the fact that this is all Peter's fault. So Strange lets them use Undercroft, and that's when they get another lead on a villain. This time, it's Electro. Peter tries to stop him and almost gets zapped when Sandman comes to Spider-Man's aid. So Peter and Sandman make a plan to stop Electro. Once Sandman and Spider-Man defeat Electro, he reverts to After Hours at a Diddy party.
Ain't no party like a Diddy party.
Peter sends Max and then Flint. After they're caught is when we see the last remaining villain, the Green Goblin, doing his whole average talking to himself thing. I do like the part where he destroys his mask and runs away. Well, Goblin runs his way right into a feast where May calls Peter and tells him she found another one of the guys. So Peter shows up, and we see Norman actually being himself. And I like the scene, where he's in a new world and nothing's the same. But anyway, Peter brings Norman to the Undercroft.
This is Mr. Osborn.
It's Doctor.
Dr. Evil. I didn't spend 6 years in evil medical school to be called Mr. Thank you very much.
Norman sees Octavius, and they share something interesting with each other.
What happened to you?
What happened to me? You're the walking corpse.
That's when they all start sharing what happened to them. Almost each of them died fighting Spider-Man. That's when Doctor Strange shows up, shoots Norman into a cell, and getting ready to send all these guys back to where they came from. However, Peter has different ideas. Peter, now knowing that they all die, tries to fix things. So, he steals the box, and Doctor Strange and Peter fight for a bit. Peter goes in the mirror dimension and feeds Doctor Strange with geometry. Peter then comes back and gives Ned Doctor Strange's sling ring, and gives the box to MJ, saying if anything happens, push the button. So Peter brings them all to Happy's penthouse, where he starts to help them all, trying to make it as if when they go back to their universes, maybe they won't die. So up first is Doc Ock. Peter and Norman make a new device that will help fix Doc Ock, and they do that, and now that Doc Ock is finally free, he is willing to help Peter in any way. So Peter makes a bunch of things for everyone until he senses something. He walks around trying to see who it is, until...
That's some neat trick.
Yep, it's Norman. Or should I say, Goblin.
Shut up, bitch.
Norman goes on a monologue talking about how they don't need to change, that they have gifts for a reason. So they rebel, and Goblin starts to fight Peter, and Peter does nothing to face Norman. So he just starts beating him up and smashing him through the floors, until they reach the bottom where May is. Also, J. Jonah Jameson is also there, trying to get some incriminating footage of Spider-Man, yet it's not that interesting or important.
Are you sure?
Anyway, May stabs Norman with some anti-goblin serum, but it does nothing. So Norman pulls a 2002 and sends his glider to go kill Aunt May. Peter helps her up, and they attempt to leave, but she's dead. And she also leaves Peter with a great power must come great responsibility. Then these guys come out of nowhere and shoot Peter out of there. And we get probably one of my favorite shots in the trilogy, where Peter stands in front of the screen from the Daily Bugle. We then see Ned and MJ contemplating on pushing the box, but when Ned does some stupid magic thing, he opens a portal, and you guys already know what comes next. It's a great scene, even if it's stupid that Ned knows magic now. Anyway, it does not take away from the scene. So after MJ and Ned talk with Andrew Garfield, they try and open another portal to Peter Parker. And yes, the best Spider-Man is here, and don't even try to disagree. Tobey Maguire is here, and it's awesome, and we get probably one of the best third acts of the trilogy and probably of the whole Spider-Man movies. Tobey, Andrew, MJ, and Ned all go to see Peter. It's another good scene. However, Tom is acting like he lost his whole life savings because he's acting like these two haven't lost anything either. Anyway, Tom wants to bring everyone back, and when he says May's final words, they all walk in.
She told me that with great power comes great responsibility. Wait, what? How do you know that?
Uncle Ben said it the day he died.
So the trio decides to work on some serums to help defeat the villains. It's a really great scene to see all these guys working together and doing their thing. Also, they do the meme.
I am become meme.
So, deciding to take the fight to the Statue of Liberty, they all wait there for the villains to show up. In the meantime, Tobey finally gets his back cracked, Diddy, and they all talk about this web situation. But when Electro shows up, followed by the rest of the villains, they don't really know what to do, because they're not working as a team. So they have a talk about how to defeat them. They decide to focus on one at a time. So they all run and do their iconic landing. So they first target Sandman and resort him to 2007 Spider-Man 3 footage. So after that is when the Lizard attacks Ned and MJ. Meanwhile, Electro is taking on Tobey and Andrew, until Doc Ock comes out and saves him, curing Max of his powers. And the same thing happens to the Lizard, and they also use some old footage. That's when Dr. Strange shows up, and he sees Peter's plan is actually working, but...
Can the Spider-Man come out to play?
Until the Goblin shows up, giving Tobey some PTSD. Goblin destroys the box, causing cracks in the sky. Tom grabs onto Goblin and destroys his glider. That's when we get a 1v1 between these two, and eventually Tom gets the upper hand, and he's about to kill Norman when the GOAT, Tobey Maguire, stops him, showing that he is stronger. And you know, this is kind of reminding me of Spider-Man 3. Andrew throws Gollum serum towards Tom, he cures him.
Cure that ass.
After that is when we see Tom go to Doctor Strange, telling him to make people forget who he is, erasing everyone's memory of him. Strange agrees and tells him to say his goodbyes. So first he swings at Tobey and Andrew, and has a really good moment with them, and the iconic shot of the three of them hugging. Then he says his goodbyes to MJ and Ned. Strange does it, and the villains and the Spider-Men go back to their universes. So sometime later we see Peter going to that coffee shop to tell MJ and Ned who he is. But when he's there, he ultimately decides against it. So the movie ends with him finally making his own suit, and this has to be his best suit yet. It looks amazing. And that's how Spider-Man No Way Home ends. So now that I've covered the plot in depth, the question comes up again. Does Spider-Man No Way Home really get worse every time you watch it? No, of course not. It's the same thing I hear with Deadpool and Wolverine. Once all the hype has died down, doesn't mean it turns stale or anything like that. Now, I haven't watched this movie in like 2 years, but rewatching it again to make this review, I realized how much I liked it. Now, there are some problems, like a lot of them, that really could have been avoided and make this movie like 30 minutes. But instead, they bring us on a roller coaster. It is amazing to see all these villains in the previous movies, and I think they all shine. Well, maybe all but the Lizard. I felt like he could have been in the movie a little longer. But it's crazy what they were able to do in this movie and accomplish. I mean, this movie was like #1 for 2 months. And for good reason. I don't think this movie had nostalgia bait. Everyone has something to do. And even seeing Tobey and Andrew was awesome. And I felt like they did Andrew some justice in this movie compared to what The Amazing Spider-Man 2 did for him. Even though in the trailers we saw MJ fall, and I just kind of knew that Andrew would come up and redeem himself, and seeing Tobey again as Spider-Man was incredible, especially if you went to the theater's opening day. I remember when I went, people were fighting for seats, no joke. My theater went crazy, and seeing the Spider-Man interact with their old villains was great, especially Andrew and Max, and Tobey and Doc Ock. And Spider-Man's journey, I like too. However, just because I can praise this movie doesn't mean it's without its faults. I think a big problem is that once Peter makes Strange erase who he is, what does that mean for the other characters? Do they just see like a blurry image of Peter? And what about when Peter made that video to the Daily Bugle where his face is on there? What happens to that? Also, just because I like seeing the villains does not mean that I thought how they came here was great. And yes, Peter is a kid, but he's a smart one. And Peter continuing to change the spell made him seem like an idiot. Also, Ned's whole "I know magic" felt kind of cheap and stupid. But he did give us Tobey and Andrew, so I'll take what I can get. Now that we're getting a new Spider-Man movie next year, I'm very cautiously optimistic. And I hate using that word because Marvel and Star Wars shows use words like that all the time. But anyway, the reason I say that is because it seems like Spider-Man Brand New Day is hella crowded. Which some of the rumors are just fake, with Spider-Man being mentored by like 6 heroes. And what I was thinking is that we were just going to have a standalone Spider-Man movie, with Peter doing his thing, with nobody else stealing the show. And now that we have that beautiful comic-accurate suit, it finally looked like we were headed in a new direction. Except when they revealed the name. Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is adapting probably one of the worst Spider-Man comics, in which Mary Jane and Peter's relationship has been erased, because Peter gave it all up to save May. Oh, and who did he give it up to? Yeah, Marvel's devil, Mephisto. Probably one of Marvel's most controversial Spider-Man comics. I see what they're going for, but you know, comic book fans will already be cautious going into this one. Anyway, the hype for No Way Home was crazy. I remember when we were in school discussing if Tobey and Andrew would show up, and then it would quickly escalate to who was the better Spider-Man. No Way Home has so much fan service, it was crazy, but it works, unlike some movies. But anyway, those were just some of my thoughts. How about you let me know yours? Maybe consider liking and subscribing, so maybe I could buy that Spider-Man Hot Toys, that expensive bastard. But anyway, till next time, peace.
Just do it!